Well, you're right, guys. Hope you're all well out there. Sometime before Christmas, when I was doing my little video for cocktail sausage rolls for Boxing Day, I got a comment from Barry up there on the Wirral. Why did I choose a particular egg wash? I think it was whole egg and water I used. Well, there's loads of egg washes, so it gave me an idea. Let's make a video. So I'm doing 11 different types of wash. I've used ready rolled pastry, short crust and puff. And we've got the butter and the eggs and the milk and the water. And, well, let's make some washes up and see what happens, eh? The 11 washes I've chosen to do are, well, do nothing, just use the pastry as it comes out of the packet. Water wash, milk wash and a melted butter wash. They're pretty self-explanatory. 3 washes using a whole egg. That's a whole egg on its own, a whole egg with water and a whole egg with milk. 2 washes with the egg white. That's pure egg white and egg white with water. And the same with an egg yolk, pure egg yolk and egg yolk with water. There's plenty more you can do. You can use all the almond type milks, cashew nut milks, coconut milk, yogurts, buttermilk. Could go on forever and ever, but these are just the basic ones. And don't forget that some of the ones I've just mentioned there are for dietary choices, not necessarily for giving the best finish to a pastry. When you're using eggs in a wash, it's essential to beat them or whisk them properly, especially the whole egg. If you don't, you get the egg yolk and the white sort of separating, and you get a very, very streaky finish. And just to further this for the trial, as I was using them for each different type of pastry, etc., I give them another little beating. I didn't need to in the end, but I did, so I thought I'd mention it. And one more thing for the trial, I did the washes, I did the finishes in 2 ways. The first way, I just applied the wash onto each bit of pastry and cooked them straight away. The second way, I applied the wash and put them in the fridge for 30 minutes. Then applied a second wash and cooked them. For the couple of washes that used just the egg yolk, I was careful to remove the membrane from around the yolk. It can give a bit of a sulphury taste, but also I want it to just be pure yolk. And it's also a good idea to do this if you're making sponges or Swiss rolls. Just that extra few seconds will get rid of any eggy taste to the sponge. A very good tip if you exhibit your cooking as well. Oh no, another secret gone. I took the ready rolled pastry sheet out of the fridge in accordance with the packet instructions. It's usually 15 to 20 minutes before you want to use it. I cut out the 11 discs. Now this is a funny one. My oven has a rotary turntable in it, and as you can see I'm using a round baking tray to the side there. How was I going to keep track of which wash was on which piece of pastry? Clever little Steve. What I did was put a couple of marks on each piece. One mark to show if it was 1 or 2 washes, and the other mark for what number it was on my little menu. So 1 for nothing, 2 little slashes for water, 3 for whole egg, and so on. So looking at my little crib sheet on the side there, I applied the correct wash to each piece of pastry. I made sure they had a good coating. I didn't want any bold spots. I gave the brush a quick wipe now and again just to take off any excess from the previous wash. I had to have a quick count of the cuts now and again. I was losing track of things. All brushed on and coated, quick check, and in the oven, 220 Celsius for 15 minutes. And every set was done for exactly the same time, 220 for 15 minutes. And while the single wash ones were cooking, I did the second ones, as you can see with the 2 cuts, and then away to the fridge for 30 minutes. Out of the oven after 15 minutes and onto a cooling rack. We don't want any soggy bottoms. And a quick count just to make sure I got them all in the right order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Double wash pastry out of the fridge after half an hour, getting their second coat. God, I sound like a decorator. And then into the oven, same again, 220, 15 minutes. You'll notice there's only 9 discs there. There's no sense in doing the do nothing or the butter one twice. So that's all the puff pastry done, and while they were cooking, it's exactly the same routine with the short crust pastry. Cut, mark, wash, cook, etc, etc. Back in a moment. There we are then, that's all 4 lots cooked now. Let these cool down a bit, then I'll line them up for a comparison. Okay then, we have puff pastry in the top 2 rows and the short crust pastry in the lower 2 rows. And going left to right we have nothing, water, whole egg with water, whole egg with milk, egg white with water, egg yolk with water, milk and butter. The top row of each pastry type had the single wash and then baked. The second row in the fridge for 30 minutes, the second wash and then baked. And as I said, there's no nothing and no butter for the second wash. It is hard to see this, but it does look like the short crust fared better for having the second wash. Even the milk one started to take on a little bit of a shine with the second wash. Overall, the best colours came from the pure egg yolk and the egg yolk with water. The worst were definitely doing nothing and water, and butter, probably a waste of time as well. Now I say a waste of time, but it could be that you don't really want much shine or colour on top of the pastry, maybe on a traditional pie for example. But personally, for a savoury pie, I think I prefer either of the egg white washes. But it's probably simpler to stick with a whole egg one or egg and water, egg and milk. Not much difference really. And maybe for a dessert type dish, the egg yolk or egg yolk with water would be best. Nice shine, nice colour. Well, I started to score them and then tapping and snapping them to see how crispy they were and things like that. And I quickly realised there was no difference, so I stopped and I changed the score sheet around a bit. So here's the sort of results on a score sheet, if you like. It's all very subjective, so let's have a quick look anyway. Well, I hope this chart makes sense, guys, without me going through it in too much detail. I probably wouldn't bother with nothing or water or butter. Butter brought nothing to the show whatsoever. If I was going to go for a traditional type looking pastry, especially the short crust, I think I'd go with the milk. Now, the best improved for having a second wash with the puff pastry was the whole egg types, and the best improved for the short crust was the egg white types. So that's something to bear in mind. But overall, the egg yolk and the egg yolk and water were by far the best shine and the best colour. But would you really want that colour and shine on a sausage roll, for example? A bit ostentatious, in my opinion. I think for me, what did surprise me actually was the whole egg and milk for the puff pastry, so I'll use that in future. And the egg white and water with the short crust pastry. Now I say egg white and water, even though it's the same as the pure egg white. The mixing the water with it made it much easier to brush onto the pastry. Well, I hope this has been helpful, guys. I mean, look at the blooming hassle you've caused, Barry. You know, I've learnt a little bit here. I've not gone down the route of the yogurts and that sort of thing, like I said. The list is endless, and I don't think they'll be much better than these ones here, to tell you the truth. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. A little bit of myth busting, perhaps. Happy cooking, look after yourselves, and I'll catch you on the next recipe.